Dearborn Heights man accused of killing his children, his stepchildren, and torturing his wife.
Tonight, Gregory Green is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and a host of other felony charges. Fox News' Dave Spencer with the very latest.
5 life sentences. That is what awaits Gregory Green if he's found guilty for the murder of his 2 daughters and his 2 stepchildren. But some wonder how a man who already served prison time for murdering his wife and unborn child roughly 16 years ago.
911, what's your emergency?
I just killed my family. That call came in at 5:47 a.m. on September 22nd, 2016. Dearborn Heights, Michigan. When police arrived at the house on Hip Street, they found a scene so horrific that seasoned officers would later say it haunted them for months. 4 children, dead. A mother, bound, bleeding, forced to watch her children die. And a man sitting calmly on the front porch, waiting to be arrested. Again, because here's the twist that makes this case absolutely chilling. Gregory Green had done this before. 25 years earlier, he had murdered his pregnant wife, stabbed her to death, called 911 with that same eerie calm. Served his time, got out, and everyone believed he had changed. His pastor believed it. His family believed it. The parole board believed it. They were all catastrophically wrong. This is the story of a system that failed, of red flags ignored, of faith misplaced, and of a killer who was given a second chance to destroy lives. For innocent children paid the ultimate price for that mistake. And the question that still keeps people up at night: how do you spot a monster when he's learned to wear the perfect disguise? July 13th, 1991. Detroit, Michigan. The call comes in at 1:30 in the morning. A man's voice on the line, unnaturally composed. I just killed my pregnant wife. I stabbed her. She's dead. She's lying in the kitchen. The dispatcher tries to get more information, but the man has already put down the phone. When police arrive, they find 25-year-old Gregory Green sitting on his porch, completely calm, waiting for them. Inside the house, they discover the body of Tanya Clayton Green sprawled across the kitchen floor. She's been stabbed multiple times. She was 6 months pregnant. The baby she was carrying never had a chance. But here's the detail that makes your blood run cold. Tanya's other children were in the house that night. One of them, hiding in a closet, heard everything. The screaming, the struggle, then silence. Can you imagine being that child? Listening as your mother is murdered in the next room, too terrified to move? Now, who was Gregory Green before that night? Born in 1966, Gregory came from what appeared to be a stable, church-going family. His parents were devoted. His sister cared about him. By all external measures, he had a normal upbringing in Detroit. But normal doesn't stab a pregnant woman to death over 10 times with a kitchen knife. So what happened? According to people close to Tanya, the warning signs had been there. In the weeks before her murder, she'd confided in her best friend that Gregory was acting strange. He was using drugs, getting violent, becoming unpredictable. Tanya told her friend she was planning to leave him. She had it all mapped out. Go to church that Sunday morning, come home, pack a bag, and get out. She never made it to Sunday. At trial, Gregory's defense attorneys tried to argue mental illness. They wanted to plead insanity. But after psychiatric evaluation, the court rejected it. Gregory Green pleaded no contest to second-degree murder. Think about that for a moment. Second-degree murder, not first-degree, which suggests it wasn't premeditated, that it was a crime of passion, a moment of losing control. He was sentenced to 15 to 25 years in prison. For murdering his pregnant wife and unborn child, he got 15 to 25 years. Many people, including Tanya's family, thought it was shockingly lenient. But the criminal justice system had made its decision, and Gregory Green disappeared into the Michigan prison system. For most people, that would be the end of the story. A tragic murder, a man behind bars. Justice, however inadequate, served. But this story was just beginning. Inside prison, Gregory Green became a model inmate. Or so it appeared. He took educational courses. He participated in mental health programs. He attended religious services. He read his Bible daily. He was respectful to guards and other inmates. On paper, he was exactly what the prison rehabilitation system is supposed to produce: a reformed man who had learned from his terrible mistake. But was he actually reformed? Or was he simply learning how to play the game? Starting in 2004, Gregory began applying for parole, and he was denied 4 times. Why? The parole board noted something disturbing in their reviews. Gregory showed a lack of genuine remorse. He couldn't seem to fully comprehend the magnitude of what he'd done. At times, he even blamed Tanya, suggesting she was partly responsible for her own murder. That's not rehabilitation. That's deflection. But Gregory had something powerful working in his favor. People who believed in him. Enter Reverend Fred Harris. Fred Harris was a 78-year-old pastor and civil rights activist with the Church of the Risen Christ Ministries International in Detroit. He was deeply involved in prison ministry, believing in redemption and second chances. Harris knew Gregory's family through the church, and he felt called to help this man turn his life around. Harris wrote at least 2 letters to the Michigan Parole Board, advocating passionately for Gregory's release. In his letters, he described Gregory's spiritual growth, his commitment to faith, his connection to the church community. He wrote that Green showed growth, and if he would be released, he would be welcomed back to the church and given help to adjust. Gregory's mother also wrote to the board, expressing her belief that her son had gained insight and was genuinely sorry. His sister wrote about how close he'd become to God. Family support, religious conversion, model behavior, educational achievement. On paper, Gregory Green looked like a success story. By 2008, Gregory was up for his 5th parole hearing, and this time, something was different. The parole board determined he had accepted what happened. He had family support, community support, a pastor vouching for him. On April 29, 2008, after serving 16 years, Gregory Green walked out of prison a free man. Now here's where this story takes a turn that feels almost scripted, except it's real, and that makes it so much worse. Gregory moved back in with his family. He got a job. He attended Reverend Harris's church regularly. He appeared to be doing everything right. And then he met Reverend Harris's daughter. Her name was Faith. The pastor who had fought so hard to get Gregory released from prison watched as this convicted murderer started a relationship with his own daughter. Faith already had 2 children from a previous relationship, Chadney and Kara Allen. And according to those who knew her, Faith didn't fully understand the extent of Gregory's past. Whenever she asked about why he'd been in prison, he'd change the subject or become quiet. Red flag number 1, a man who won't talk honestly about his past. But by then, Faith was already falling for him. A couple of years after his release, Gregory would marry Harris's daughter Faith. On December 18, 2010, Gregory Green and Faith Harris got married. They became a blended family. Faith's 2 teenagers, Chadney and Kara, and soon, Gregory and Faith would have 2 daughters together, Coy and Kaylee. From the outside, it looked like a redemption story. A man who had made a terrible mistake, paid his debt, found love, and was building a new life. But inside that house, a different story was unfolding. WY 2013, Faith started noticing changes in Gregory. The same changes Tanya had noticed 22 years earlier. He became angry, aggressive, volatile. There was one incident that terrified Faith. Gregory kicked the couch while their baby was lying on it. He threatened Faith, telling her she'd better leave or she'd regret it. Faith tried to get a protective order. It was denied. And here's the tragic irony. She didn't tell the court about Gregory's history of murdering his previous wife. Maybe she didn't know the full extent. Maybe she was scared. Maybe she thought it wouldn't matter. But that omission might have cost her everything. Faith found herself trapped. She had 4 children in the house. Where could she go? How could she protect them? Like so many abuse victims, she felt she had no choice but to stay and hope things would get better. They didn't. August 2016, Faith filed for divorce. Gregory believed Faith was cheating on him. Whether she was or wasn't doesn't matter. In Gregory's mind, history was repeating itself. Another wife trying to leave him. Another relationship falling apart. And just like with Tanya, Gregory couldn't let that happen. September 21st, 2016. Around 11 p.m., Faith was in the basement doing laundry. Gregory came downstairs. He asked her to help him with something. Then he attacked. Gregory zip-tied Faith's hands and feet. He shot her in the foot so she couldn't run. He slashed her face with a box cutter, but he didn't kill her. Not yet, because Gregory had something else in mind. Something so sadistic, so calculated, that it proves this was never about passion or losing control. He wanted Faith to suffer. While Faith lay bleeding and bound in the basement, Gregory took his two youngest daughters, 4-year-old Kaylee and 5-year-old Coy, to his car. He rigged the exhaust system to pump carbon monoxide into the vehicle. His own daughters, Coy Green, 5, and Kaylee Green, 4, died from carbon monoxide poisoning as they slept. Then he carried their small bodies back inside and placed them in their beds, as if they'd simply died in their sleep. But Gregory wasn't finished. He went back to the basement where Faith was tied up, forced to watch as he brought down her 2 teenage children, Chadney Allen, 19, and Kara Allen, 17.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
And in front of their mother, Gregory fatally shot both teenagers, execution style, one by one, while Faith screamed and begged and pleaded. Can you even begin to imagine the horror? Being bound, helpless, watching your children murdered right in front of you, knowing your 2 youngest daughters are already dead upstairs. This wasn't a crime of passion. This wasn't someone who snapped. This was calculated torture. This was revenge. This was a man who wanted to inflict maximum suffering. After he killed all 4 children, Gregory did exactly what he'd done 25 years earlier. He called 911 and calmly confessed. Then he walked outside, sat on the porch, and waited for police to arrive. When officers pulled up to the house on Hip Street at 5:47 a.m., they found Gregory sitting there, expressionless. Inside, they found a scene of unimaginable carnage. Faith Green survived, physically at least. She was rushed to the hospital with multiple injuries. She'd been shot, slashed, beaten. She spent weeks in intensive care, but the physical wounds would heal. The psychological wounds never would. Faith later said she had lost memory of that night, but investigators and prosecutors laid out what happened in court, and the evidence was undeniable. 4 children, murdered. Chadney Allen was just 19 years old. He had his whole life ahead of him. Kara Allen was 17, still in high school. Coy Green was 5. She just started kindergarten. Kaylee Green was 4. She loved playing with dolls. Gone. All of them. In one night of calculated violence. Chadney Allen Sr., the biological father of the 2 teenagers, was devastated, and he was angry. He couldn't understand how his ex-wife could have married a convicted murderer. Whether or not Faith knew the full extent of Gregory's past, the fact remained: a man who had killed before had now killed again. At Gregory Green's sentencing, Faith spoke directly to him. "I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied with the outcome. There's no punishment that fits the crime. Not even torture and death would be justice. Your justice will come when you burn in hell for all eternity for murdering 4 innocent children." She called him a con artist, a monster, a devil in disguise. And she was right. Gregory Green pleaded guilty to all charges. He was sentenced to 47 to 102 years in prison, with an additional 2 years for felony firearm charges. If he serves his full sentence, he'll be 97 years old before he's eligible for parole. He'll almost certainly die in prison. But what about Reverend Fred Harris, the man who had fought so hard for Gregory's release? The grandfather who lost 4 grandchildren because he believed in second chances? The guilt Harris must have felt is unimaginable. He had advocated for a killer's freedom. That killer married his daughter and then murdered his grandchildren. Harris was known for being about second chances, driven by his religious convictions. He genuinely believed Gregory had changed. He believed in redemption, and that belief destroyed his family. This isn't to blame Reverend Harris. He was acting out of faith and compassion. But it raises a crucial question. When do we give second chances? And when do we recognize that some people simply cannot be reformed? So what can we learn from this tragedy? What were the warning signs that everyone missed? Red flag number 1, the original crime. Gregory didn't just get into a fight that went too far. He brutally stabbed his pregnant wife multiple times. That level of violence, that level of rage, doesn't just disappear because someone reads the Bible in prison. Red flag number 2, lack of genuine remorse. The parole board noted this 4 times. Gregory couldn't fully accept responsibility. He blamed his victim. That's not growth. That's manipulation. Red flag number 3, refusing to discuss his past. When Faith asked Gregory about his time in prison, he wouldn't talk about it. That's not shame. That's concealment. Truly reformed people are honest about their past because they've processed it. Red flag number 4, escalating violence. By 2013, Gregory was showing the same patterns he'd shown with Tanya. Anger, threats, physical aggression. Faith tried to get protection. The system failed her. Red flag number 5, the trigger of abandonment. Both times Gregory killed, it was when he felt his wife was leaving him. That pattern should have been recognized. The hard truth is this: the system failed twice. First, when Gregory received only 15 to 25 years for murdering a pregnant woman. Second, when he was released after 16 years despite showing inadequate remorse. The parole board had faith that he'd changed. His pastor had faith. His family had faith. But faith without evidence is dangerous. And the evidence was there all along. Gregory Green was convicted of second-degree murder in the stabbing death of his then-pregnant wife in March 1992. In a similar fashion, he called police to confess after the 2016 murders. The parallels are chilling. The same calm demeanor, the same lack of emotion, the same pattern. He didn't change. He just got better at hiding who he really was. Today, Faith Green has written a book about her experience. She speaks out about domestic violence, about recognizing warning signs, about the failures of the parole system. She survived, but she lives with the knowledge that her 4 children didn't, and she has to live with the what-ifs. What if she'd known more about Gregory's past? What if the protective order had been granted? What if she'd left sooner? But victim blaming helps no one. Faith was manipulated by someone who spent 16 years learning how to appear reformed. The real lesson here is for the rest of us. Some people cannot be rehabilitated. Some crimes are so heinous that they reveal something fundamental about a person's character. And when someone has taken lives before, the risk that they'll do it again is simply too high. Gregory Green should never have been released. 5 people would still be alive if he hadn't been. Tanya Clayton Green would have raised her children. Chadney Allen would be 27 now. Kara Allen would be 25. Coy Green would be 13. Kaylee Green would be 12. Instead, their names on headstones. Victims of a system that believed in second chances for the wrong person. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. The warning signs are there. Trust your instincts. And remember, past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. Don't ignore the red flags. For children paid with their lives because adults did. Rest in peace, Tanya, Chane, Kutta, Coy, Kaylee. You deserved so much better.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.